look, again, I saw this freaking excellent, very authentic, very, very prime Babylon 5. You know, at the beginning of it, you know, you have watching it on a big screen is good. Weirdly enough, though, okay, so I told you I watched was it The Lost Tales, which has better special effects because it's from 2007, much better special effects. So when you see Babylon 5, the space station in modern special effects, it looks kind of weird, right? It looks kind of wrong. Your brain can't read that thing. I can. Oh, it's MKV. I probably can't show that. But so watching it in this, it doesn't feel like such a leap from the original. But there's a bit in it right at the beginning where you pan across the station and you get that big Babylon 5 music, and it fills you with the feels, right? It really does. Great little story. I get so authentically fitting into Babylon 5, but I think also moving forward with what J. Michael Straczynski wants to be doing now. Like, he's much more interested in talking about using story as a vehicle to talk about emotional relationships. And I saw a very good interview with him talking about it, saying he wants to use the story and the emotion and the character to reveal moments of transformational beauty. Right. And that when you get to the denouement of this story, it's exactly what it is. It's a very soppy, touchy-feely story, as is a lot of Babylon 5. But I really feel it worked in doing being just so authentic, right? Just so authentically Babylon 5 and good, right? It was actually good as well, amazingly enough. So Babylon 5 returns in the road home. And there's going to be more of these because I think it did very well. Again, how Doctor Who isn't able to manage to muster this? Like, Doctor Who's got to have a bigger base that would buy. Like, this is purely going to be on DVD sales, right? Or like Blu-ray sales. Doctor Who must have a bigger a customer base than Babylon 5, right? Like, it just must have. And it can't manage animation like this. So, but the basic plot of this is it's Sheridan becoming unstuck in time and flitting to different moments in Babylon 5, which you knew about, that you never saw, and then going between different realities. So, it ends up in one particular reality. And again, I'm not spoiling anything at all whatsoever, where you're in prime Babylon 5, right? You're in, you have Jakar and Londo sniping at each other, and you have the station running in the normal way, right? And the last line is, it's, again, I'm not spoiling this, right? Because this isn't part of the story. The story ends, but this is just like an epilogue. So, but it ends up with Ivanova saying, "We apologize for the delay in transmission." And then she goes, "Babylon 5, and we're back." And they could really just retell the whole story slightly differently, like reboot it with the original characters in that comic, but in that cartoon universe. But there's a lot more. They could just do a lot more with this format. And again, it seems to have done very well. And why Doctor Who can't do this is beyond me. So I don't know how they did this animation. It feels very rotoscoped, right? Maybe it's CGI models that are just very advanced now being rotoscoped by, in animation. It might even be AI, right? I don't know, but it's really just genuinely excellent. And as I said, I was on this big Babylon 5 tear because here's the weird thing, right? I found a BitTorrent which had all of Babylon 5 on it, all of Crusade, and all of the movies, all upscaled to 1080. Even the stuff that hasn't been upscaled. They said the movies that weren't upscaled were upscaled by 1080, by AI. And I was like, wow, I didn't know the technology was there that somebody could do it. But it looks excellent. But here's the weird thing. The file sizes of these are like, an episode is like 200-300 meg, which is very small. Whereas I have rips from, the previous upgrade, and they're like 2 gig an episode, and they're both 1080, and I watch them back to back, and I can't tell the difference. So I think I'll go for the smaller files, but it's really, as I said, absolutely remarkable. But so this really got me in the mood for Babylon 5. Yeah, so look, it's we do spend a little bit in this. I would say you see the classic Babylon 5 universe where they're in like Earth Alliance costumes, and Garibaldi still has hair. Guy who does the voice for Garibaldi, excellent, right? That one you don't miss a beat at all, right? The performance is very much like it, right? The guy who plays Jakar, again, not until the last scene when he was doing a bit of sniping with Lonzo, you get a bit of his strength, right? But up until then, he's very like mellow, religious icon Jakar that we got from the end of the TV show. Anyway, the Babylon Project was a dream given form, a 5-year form. It exactly really was, to be precise. As Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski mapped out an epic story of enormous 5-mile space station written in 92 of the 110 episodes itself. And this was really, I think, the first time on TV we got that Game of Thrones type storytelling where it's like a really, really in-depth story, much more cheaply. It looks a lot cheaper than Game of Thrones, but like really, 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 you have lots of different plot strands, lots of different character, all working together in the in service of story, right? And it's like you just get so rarely now. Excellent, right? Excellent. That's why for me, I can dip into Babylon 5 at any point, right? And I go, and I like, because I know it so well. It's like 5 books worth of stuff. The show may have been a contemporary of Jean-Luc Picard, Benjamin Sisko, and Catherine Janeway's adventures, but on the Final Frontier. But it took an altogether less idealistic view of humanity's future. But it was really, I get Babylon 5. This is where Star Trek really, I think, started to die, right? The Rick Berman started to die because it stopped being on the cutting edge, right? Babylon 5 was on the cutting edge. It was on the cutting edge in terms of storytelling, right? This was the thing that broke the episodic storytelling, which I ache for now with Star Trek. Like I'm so sad we don't have that in Strange New Worlds this season, right? You really missed it. But this is a show that absolutely broke that. That made serials, brought that into like the norm, right? This is the type of show that was designed for streaming models. Also, of course, it had the adoption of all computer effects. Now, it was before its time, and it was so obviously before its time because they all need to be redone. In my opinion, they all need to be redone, and I would widescreen them all. I would really, really do a lot of that, right? Look, I just think it was. I just think it was excellent. But yeah, no, this is crying out for a major makeover, right? I think because again, the storytelling in this is so good, right? The character and the storytelling, honestly, just absolutely excellent. But it is weird, like, because I enjoyed the road home so much, I ended up watching a few more episodes, and I still will, right? I really want to go through more about one because it reminded me how much I love this universe, and the reason I love it again, it's so well rounded, right? It's so incredibly three-dimensional. Fine, for where are we up to? Going. Light years from the coziness of the Federation, Earth found itself under the control of a dictator for much of B5's run, about 2 seasons, right? While the cast of alien races tended to spend more time squabbling than getting along, which I think kind of worked, right? But it broke the mold with the famous 5-year plan, as Straczynski, aka JMS, J stands for Joseph. So their big mistake is they bottled it, right? And they finished their story in 4 years instead of 5 years, making the 5th year very, very, very tacked on, right? Which was a real shame. It was a real shame. But they weren't sure they were going to get a 5th year, so they really wanted to wrap it up. And then they had the final episode filmed, and then they found they're getting in 5th year, so they filmed a different final episode and shunted that one on to the next year. But a lot of like the last season was sadly extraneous, and a lot of it like people like staring at the Babylon 5 and saying goodbye. Like 3 episodes of that for a bunch of people, right? But other than that, excellent. Fine. Shepherd the show through a complex, mostly pre-planned arc in which the TV serialization was minimal and the viewing public was in the thrall of stories of the week. Yeah, it's absolutely true. When I was first told Warner that I wanted to do what I wanted to do, they looked at me in the way a cat looks at a doorknob, right? They weren't quite sure what it does. Or how to operate it. Straczynski tells us effects. How he sold it, I don't know. I would love to hear the story how this animated thing came together, right? No one had done a specific 5-year arc with a beginning, middle, and end, and I sort of figured out how that worked as I went. David Lindelof, when he did Lost, asked how did we do it, and also from Battlestar Galactica, gave them advice. Then when those two shows took off with this arc structure, it just blew up and became ubiquitous in television programming. Sadly, yes, right? It's deeply gratifying, slightly puzzling, and really rewarding. It's so influential, right? It's so insanely influential. Now, 30 years on, Babylon 5's debut, the dream has been given new form. There's been signs and portents of a live-action reboot. More on that later. I mean, I guess with JMS in charge, I would check it out. But like, I would just clean up the original, right? Redo the special effects on the original. It's perfect, right? As is. It really is. It really works. But Straczynski took fans by surprise earlier this year when he confirmed an all-new animated movie was lurking in hyperspace, preparing for release this summer. So in the interview I saw, very good podcast, but I'll try and find where's the link to that. It's like a 17-minute interview. Let me find that. Was this it? Yeah, over here. What's it? Copy. And I can put it in the chat. Oh, wow, that was no, that was too long. How do I delete that? Well, you won't even let me delete it. Because it broke it. It was a Facebook link, and it broke it into two. Now I've got to go into the. Hang on. Doink. Okay, fine. How do I delete it? Remove. Okay, remove. Remove. Everything is complicated. Everything is complicated and nothing works. There you go. Fine. Here's a link to it. There. Oh, dear Stardust is there. How you doing, oh dear Stardust? But again, if you haven't seen Babylon 5, this is a great thing to go through, right? To watch the whole 5 seasons and the movies. Right. So it broke the mold. He said he sent a message to all the surviving actors. Not many of them, right? Most of them did say, look, we have this opportunity to do this, but I'm only going to be or mean recasting, some falling friends and like to honor them. But I'm not going to do that if you have a problem with it. And they were like, no, we're on board, which means I think they came to him, right? Somebody has an idea that this is a valuable property. And it really is. I mean, again, I don't even think, maybe don't even read this out. Like, I'm being selfish saying I would like to see them redo the special effects, right? Because I like that. But I think it'll probably do well without it. But honestly, I think redo the special effects, widescreen it. Netflix, you do it for a 2-season order. It's probably money well spent. So where are we up to? So they got this new animation is excellent, right? The road host sends John Sheridan's Earth Force officer turned president of Interstellar Alliance, leaping back and forth through the B5 chronology, along with some familiar faces or more accurately voices, and give a new perspective to that famous 5-year arc. Yeah. It's basically Babylon 5's greatest hits done as a cartoon very well, right? And again, Why can't Doctor Who do this? Right? It's beyond me. I knew that I wanted to do a story that will do things that we can never do in a live action show, where we were confined by budget sets. So the thing I like about Straczynski is the same thing about Nick Briggs. Constantly pushing forward in their craft, always trying to find new things to do. Right, doing a kind of travelogue through Babylon 5 universe and its history meant sending someone through time and space to be part of those things. And there's no one else other than Sheridan really fit the bill. Well, again, everybody's dead, mate. Right? They're all. Do I have that picture still? Let me see if I can find that picture. Where it shows you who's alive and who's dead. Oh, here it is. No, that's the wrong one. That's Succession. Where is it? Here it is. Here we go. Share. Man, I was watching. Was it War Without End? Yeah, today. And look, the guy who played Marcus Cole, not the best thesp in the world. Let's be fair, right? It was he's a little bit agonizing. Oh, here, did that come in? Let me open it up. There you go. Download. Open. I'll open it with Google. There you go. So you see who's alive and who's dead. Not many alive, right? So they're like, what are you going to do? Sit around Linear, around Ivanova, who they wrote in the last season. Patricia Talman, no. And Marcus Cole. Was he even in it? I'm not even sure if it was him in it. Orlando, listen, I can't believe even Veer's dead. I mean, really, they're all dead. They're dead, Dave. They're all dead. Dead, Dave. So you see, one, two, traveler. Bruce Waterloo is back to the voice of Sheridan fantastically, as is Claudia Crystal and Peter Jurassic, Bill Mummy, Tracy Scroggins, and Pritchard Talman. Sadly, many of Babylon 5's original ensemble will pass away. Yes, this shows meaning JMS and his Stars face a dilemma. We have lost many of our cast, but they gave us the opportunity to bring those characters back, Straczynski said. I said, oh, okay, fine. But this is saying over exactly the story I just told you. I sent an email to cast and said, are you okay with other people playing our fallen friends with whom you may or may not have to interact? Oop, come back here. Did I think I went too many pages. Where are you? There you go. If one person said we're not going to do it, then we're not going to do it. But all said yes. The Road Home became a story of how, in the present tense, of how a kind of memorial for those we lost. That is true, actually. Right. When it came to casting new actors to voice iconic characters like Delenn, Jeffrey Sinclair. The guy who plays Sinclair is perfect. Oh my God. It's the same guy who does, I think, Garibaldi. I think he does Garibaldi and Sinclair. Jakar and Dr. Franklin, replayed by Miracle and Michael O'Hare. Jerry Daw, Andres Katsoulas, and Richard Briggs, respectively. Straczynski says that the approach was more about the attitude than anybody being able to do a sound alike. That is true, but they do sound alike. But their performances. The actors that got the actors we got did their research at the Road Home director Matt Peters. I think did he direct some of the original ones? I don't know. They would make sure they watched the show, and they would capture different things about the character. They should have got Stephen Noonan in. Man, he's great at that, doing that sort of thing. When we were recording, I remember the actor doing Garibaldi, Anthony Hansen, would repeat things that got him into character. He really nails Garibaldi, right? He sounds freaking exactly like Garibaldi, right? He inhabits that character. That got him in the character before he did almost every line. It really helped him focus and capture the personality of the character. That's the thing. He gets the personality of the character. While there were probably a dozen different animation techniques that could be used to recreate Babylon 5 and its inhabitants, my production team opted to work with Studio Mir, a South Korean outfit who really made Journey into Darkhead for the second season of Star Wars Visions. So okay, I have to look. I have to watch that now. right? I had done some DC films called. I'd done a DC film called Battle of the Super Sons with Studio Mir, says producer Rick Morales, and I think everybody was really happy with the results. It was the first time DC Animation we'd done a full CG show, even though it was shell shaded to look like traditional animation animated things. So that's probably what this is, right? And we were when we first talked about Babylon 5, it was there we go. It was clear that it needs to be CG, seeing as we were going to be doing space battles. There is. Again, it's really spoiled by the shadows looking so shit in this movie. That's the one thing they did badly, right? That's the one thing they did genuinely badly. But like they have this great last stand of Babylon 5 in one reality. Again, you kind of see that. It's probably the last stand of Babylon 5 we saw in War Without End. It was War Without End. They essentially, okay, fine, to remind you, Babylon 5 is called Babylon 5. It's the fifth and final of the Babylon stations. Babylons 1, 2, and 3 were blown up by terrorists who didn't want there to be any form of unity, and 4 mysteriously vanished. So we found out that in the first season, there was some weird time travel thing going on with Babylon 4, with the commander somehow involved with it, right? And then in season 3, we saw the whole story that in the first Shadow War, like 1,000 years earlier, they had a space station that was destroyed, and Babylon 4 showed up, and without that, they would have done much worse in the 1,000-year ago Shadow War, right? And that's when, and so leading to Babylon 5 being destroyed. So I think you see that, right? Oh, Dan, how you doing, Dan? When is that? It's out on 2 days from now. I got an early copy. No spoilers. I'm just doing the preview. It's fantastic, though. Okay, I'll tell you, it is fan-freaking-tastic. You should be. I'm no more spoilers than that are in this article, and that JMS has already spoiled, right? But yeah, it's a delight. And again, that Doctor Who isn't doing this type of animation, can't afford to do it, is a mystery to me. I don't want to go too cartoony with representing the actual actors playing the roles, says Straczynski. I wanted to be realistic, but I think too much 3D I've actually gotten in a way. This is the blend of warmth of traditional animation combined with fluidity, what you can do with a computer now. Yes, that's a very good explanation of it. The Road Home had the envious task of bringing back the show's famous spaceship. What happened there? No, go. How do I close this? Go away. Oh, there. Bringing back the famous spaceship designs into the 21st century, or should it be 23rd? Yeah, and it wasn't entirely successful, right? Let me just check out this box out. What's the box out saying? Bruce Boxleitner. Yeah, he's great here. And again, fits so seamlessly back into character. Did you think your time as John Sheridan was over? I really didn't expect this. Well, neither did I. So it was a wonderful surprise. There's only 6 of us left now. I know. The curse of Babylon 5. So we've been through a lot of tragedy on this show. It's heartbreaking. Joe reached out and told us that about the live action reboot and this project. He couldn't give us a lot of details until the right time, but finally he did. And I'm very happy. I wonder how long this took to make. I played some really good roles in television, but John Sheridan is probably, I think, one of the finest roles. Scarecrow and Mr. King was a much more successful, but with John Sheridan, I got to live a life of a young man into an aging man. Yeah, which it really did. And I think that, again, it's the 3-dimensionality of all the characters that really nail this, right? That's a rare thing, especially way back when we did it in television. Was much more episodic. Sheridan in The Road Home is pretty funny too. I love the humor. Here's the thing: Babylon 5 always had JMS's sense of humor, which is a little bit cringy, right? And I love it, right? There's some kind of clunky jokes too. That's the Babylon 5 jokes. But there are humorous moments in it. We had Penn and Teller guest star. They were great. And Joe always has a sly sense of humor. Would you play Sheridan again? Certainly an animated version. I'm 73 now, so I can hardly be John Sheridan anymore in live action. We could be old John Sheridan. unless we do a crazy AI, give me a full new body. No, it didn't work with Harrison Ford, and they spent a fortune on that. I also think it should be a new generation, a kind of next generation. I would say rather than a reboot, they should do something 100 years later in the same universe, right? They should, yes, just like, because the universe is so freaking rich. I mean, like the last episode of season 4, which was they replaced with what it was going to be, was sketched out the next like 5,000 years in the universe beautifully, right? I think they're okay doing this little thing started somewhere in the 1960s. Fine. So they brought this into the 23rd century, where Star Trek was still making expensive use of model shots for the Enterprise Deep Space Nine and Voyager. B5 space scenes were entirely computer generated, and it was very cool for that too, right? It really was. There was no question that it looks a tad dated in the 21st century, but the ambition, often organic spaceship designs, were unlike anything on TV at the time. Exactly. They were faithfully recreative of the road home, apart from the shadows, okay? The fans look more closely and may spot the White Star vessels, and even Babylon 5 itself is a little more detailed than it used to be. Well, yeah, you need to pull back on that on the shadows, right? I told the animation folks I'm not precious about this. He's not precious about his work at all, but he's very much understands what he does. We did the best we could with the show back in the 90s. But there was, but it was a way of keeping the sensibility of what had gone before while taking it to another level visually. I would say go for it. If you go too far, I'll say pull back, but I'll rather you take the chance. So the great thing about the shadow vessels in the original one was they were hard to like see. They were very non-corporeal, right? They didn't feel solid, but they felt real. They were kind of like shiny. Now they're like much more solid and much more matte, right? Which is disappointed. It's not like we wanted to make wholesale change, but the little tweaks to the design, we could streamline them. Everything looks the same to me, right? We could also play with some things maybe they couldn't quite pull off in the late 90s. Obviously, it's Joe's baby, but it was very cool letting him explore those things. Also, he was a great resource. You could go to him and ask him what very technical ask him, and he'll have a very technical explanation for, say, Star Fury Fluster's work in the British. He does. I've heard him talk about that before, right? The faithfulness of Babylon 5 was faithfulness of Babylon 5 that continues into the storytelling without giving too much away. The phenomenon that sends Sheridan leaping through time ties directly back to the plot lines of the original show. There are plenty of Easter eggs for even a few classic moments recreated in animation. Yeah, perfectly, right? Perfectly. Nonetheless, Straczynski doesn't believe the abundance of Babylon 5 lore will be a barrier to anyone. No, this is a great intro into the universe. It really is. I mean, this will be like, oh man, you want to check out the story, right? And it is. It's all about story, which is what I think makes it stand head and shoulders above everything else right now. Nonetheless, Straczynski doesn't believe blah blah blah. We'll know about Minbari and Centauri. Minbari and Centauri. Yeah, listen, it piques the interest to make you want to know more. This is Patricia Talman. She's in this a lot more than I remember her being in Babylon 5. And like, yeah, okay. To me, she wasn't that important. She just seems like she was friends with JMS. Fine. I want to write something that will be fun for the fans to watch, but also newbie friendly. And it is. Nails that 100%. Nails that completely. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. It's 100% family friendly, newbie friendly, and also for the fans as well. The Wandering Jules is back. He says. Well, I'm not saying I was back on Rumble, right? Let's have a quick look. Who's on? Anybody new? Dan popped in. How you doing, Dan? So I check. You were the first person here. Otis started. Oh, Petey Rich is here. How you doing, Petey Rich? Thank you for joining us. If you're still here, that is. Who else? I think I covered everybody. Fine. It was a born to it was important to hook the original show, but if you don't know the references, it won't be a problem because you'll just accept it as part of the current story. Yes, and again, while JMS don't think is the showiest or most flashiest of writers, right? Like I don't see him. Like I like Westworld a lot, right? But I think it's a very showy and flashy type of writing, especially with the way they structured the story, and like flitting about from different times, right? And dealing with different perspectives, things like that, which is good, right? But I think he's a much more workman-like writer. But man, does he like really know his stuff, right? You really get the feeling that he very much knows his stuff. He knows how to write. He knows his business. He knows his art. He knows his trade, right? So where are we up to? So if you don't know the references, it won't be a problem. Current story. We provide the information as we go. 100, and he does it in a very workmanlike way. Besides, we now we have the exploits of Rick and Morty, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and all the Marvel and DC have brought multiverses to the mainframe. Most modern viewers are comfortable with the road home's exploration of quantum mechanics and parallel timelines. But that actually, quantum mechanics is a very JMS thing, right? I'm going to focus on this for a second because I think a major tenet of this is that the quantum mechanics of the particle only exists when it's being observed, right? Then it becomes a wave. That's basically it. When the particle only exists when it's being observed. When it's not observed, it turns into waves. So like the observer creates the experience, right? So basically, it's all about Sheridan's emotional resonance of where he wants to be and what he wants to and where he's being sent to see how he plays. So that's very JMS because he wants to talk about, the core emotions of the characters, right, and of these people, and he wants to use them to review like these emotional moments of beauty, he calls them, and that's exactly what he does, right? Very well. Let's read. Is this Bill Murray? Bill Murray, bit of Lost in Space over here. Let's see. Let's see him say. You were lost in space on Twilight Zone before Babylon 5. Are you drawn to sci-fi or is sci-fi drawn to you? I think sci-fi is drawn to him, actually. I think it's a little both. That's probably true. I think it's a little both. As a youngster, I worked on many different areas in acting, but from sci-fi sitcoms to dramas to westerns. But as an adult, I gravitated to the sci-fi when the opportunity arose. It was my fascination with Spider-Man, Superman, and Zorro, two Cape Crusaders when I was only 4 that made me passionately tell my parents I wanted to go inside the television. So when Will Robinson presented itself to me in Lost in Space, that was all I ever wanted to do. Well, I think we're all. And also, listen, those pointy bras that that Judy and what was it, Mrs. Robinson wear. They would want to get me inside the TV too. We're guessing you don't miss the makeup required to play Minbari on screen. My daughter was born during the second season. My son was 4 years old. So having an infant and toddler and getting up at 3:30 in the morning for 4:30 makeup calls was tough. The group of people that I worked with were all inspiring and talented in the makeup process. I mean, man, Jakar, was it? What's his name? He's dead now. Christeus. That makeup was incredible. Right, and he's just he inhabited that actor. But the makeup process is not something I ever truly acclimated to. Then there's Arcton sang on a downer with a brief portrayal of Sheridan. Would you be keen to explore new aspects of character in the parallel timeline? I forgot about that. How he was flying off in somewhere into the distance to do penance for nearly killing Sheridan in some misguided assassination plot, as I recall. Looking at 20 years down the line, I would like to see what kind of was a kind of linear arc. Actually, okay, I take it back. I think he's great to do one of these movies on, right? Yes, okay. Do a movie on linear, and you could do a lot more about Minbari life, and he could be going all around the Babylon 5 universe, and you could get an idea of what happened in the next 20, 30 years. I would like to see him resolve things with Delenn and Lenny. Yes, Yes, again, this has sparked so much passion in me, right? Because it's so freaking good. I want to go back and watch more Babylon 5 now. Like I forced myself to watch Strange New Worlds because that's and it wasn't bad, but I didn't want to stop watching Babylon 5 to start watching that, right? I can't imagine I'm ever going to feel the same way about the Strange New Worlds. Excuse me. There you go. Had a burp in me that wouldn't come out, and then just stuck in my throat. Certainly he's flawed, but aren't we all? He's noble and efficient and so spiritual and centered and effective. He was tortured as well, which gives him was a whole lot of range. Yeah, again, I think that's actually great fodder. You can't really see here how bad the shadow crafts look, which is a real bummer. Well, I think people like big ideas, says Straczynski points out, and they like the sense of having a context of existence, as Jakar says in the movie. Without someone to perceive the universe, it doesn't exist. That's such a central point, and a very clever central point. It's a lot like the Dr. Manhattan before Watchmen thing he wrote, which I thought was excellent. Right, I thought that's probably one of the best of the Before Watchmen books. But yeah, it was interesting like that. Right, we've always tried to combine deeply personal and the grand mythic, and they do that again. This is pure Babylon 5, right? Absolute pure Babylon 5. It's also for me about love, which with multiverses and variation on one specific timeline. It's not like we pop into a universe where Sheridan is a giraffe. No. Well, it might be an idea for a Babylon Zoo spin-off. Hopefully will never happen. This exploration of new timeline does open up, endless possibilities for future animated movies. And that's how they end the movie, right? They end the movie in again, this is a side thing. I'm not spoiling it for you at all, right? They end the movie in a parallel where the Shadow War hasn't started yet, and Sheridan is in charge of Babylon 5, and Sinclair has a command of a ship, as so does Lockley. So they could very much just go into that universe, and it was Babylon Universe Prime. It was just so like classic Babylon 5. If this one does well, Warner will want to do more. I hope it does well, right? And I can't imagine it not doing well because it's such freaking high quality, right? We'll start with Sheridan's own timeline, but there's an alternate timeline where you have Sinclair, Sheridan, Ivanova, and Lockley side by side. Yeah, right, and all the characters in their youth available to us. Yes, and it seems very much like they want to do more with that. That would be a call for any films going forward. Okay, that very much seemed that way. It gives me freedom to say, all right, if I'm starting from zero and I have access to all the characters, what can we do next? Well, you see, again, I think that speaks very highly of J. Michael Straczynski, right? I think that speaks very, very highly of him because he wants to be original. He wants to, because he's a writer. He's not a hack. He's actually a genuine writer that wants to tell actually genuine stories. And I am naive and stupid enough to believe that is something that might actually make a difference, right? He's a genuine writer. And you can tell, right? You can absolutely tell. So they got all the characters. So I'm starting from zero. I have access to all the characters. What happens next? Viewers familiar with the show may know the universe and these characters, but they don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, so they basically, again, it's Babylon Universe Prime, but with the shadows and Zahadum haven't been woken up. So they could have the whole Shadow War go. They could retell it in a different way. If all goes to plan, then there will be even more B5 on the horizon. The potential reboot for the show for a US network, the CW, please don't happen. First announced back in 2021, the latest Babylon project is very much a going concern. We still have the live-action reboot on hold pending the Hollywood writers' strike. Pen forever, mate. Pen forever. What do you reckon the odds they're gonna use that strike to get rid of the Disney Snow White? Right? I can't imagine that guy. Like, why would you make that movie at this point? I mean, again, I think they've already put millions into it, but their loss will probably be less if they don't make the movie at this point. Where are we up to? Warner's where to? Jeremiah reveals that CW wanted to do it, but they but they got bought, and then they went through their own issues. Warner's then went to get the rights back to the pilot because they wanted to do something with it, and we had many conversations about about what we wanted to do with this. We had four or five places that are interested in doing this and putting some money behind it. Again, it's a successful universe, right? Which is built for the streaming model. This seems like something that would really go very well, right? I don't know. I would love to see this be snapped up by a streaming service, like snapping up this this animated movie again. And the animation is so good, right? It really is so freaking good. What are we up to? They got some money behind. Let's read this thing by Peter Jurassic, who is flawlessly Londo. Oh, that's why I love Londo's was always my favorite, right? That's why I put him on the thumb. No character in Babylon 5 evolved more than Londo. Well, maybe Jakar. Was a gift to play, and was it a gift to play a role like that over 5 years? Londo started off in one place as Peter, and when we first met him, and he went through enormous change. As an actor, you can't ask for better than that. Yeah, look, he started off embittered, like yearning for more success for himself and for his people, and blinded to he will take anything to get that success, right? And it blinded him, and he ended up making a lot of mistakes, which he then acknowledged were mistakes. And his ultimate fate was a bit dark, but again, the whole thing was a bit. I just love this show, right? But if you're going to reboot it, just set it 100 years later, or whatever. Right, some shadow remnants come. Whatever. I don't know. There's a lot you could do. You can't say more. So it's a real joy, I think, for fans that have always been able to see in my eyes that I was having a good time, whether it was playing something funny or playing something serious. He had a real range in his character as well, and he was perfect to play it. They could tell I was loving it, and I did love it playing him. Good writing does that. That's what this is. Oh, that's why this is great. Good writing, right? Good writing. Doing. Londo's old couple relationship with Jakar, the late Andres Katsalas, that's his name, was one of the undoubted highlights of the show. We were lucky because Andreas and I got on really well. We had a very different ways of working. Very passionate actor, and like there's so much passion and energy came through his delivery. It was fantastic. He also played Commander Tomahawk in Star Trek Next Generation. It was one of the best Romulans in that. He had a great sense of humor, and it was a real loose cannon on the set. He was the sweetest, nicest man, but a dangerous individual once you got the camera rolling. He would do anything and try anything. He got feeling he was a real actor. He was so free. The Lonto Jakar relationship was important, and we were lucky because we really liked each other. I think that came off on screen. How do you find picking up that accent again? You know what? I was trained to be an actor. I've done it's all I ever done, and I did this character a lot, so I know him pretty well. So coming back with the accent was not a difficult thing. Once I had Joe's lines in front of me, and the other characters react to it was pretty easy. Yeah, there's a great scene with the guy playing Jakar at the end, which was perfect, right? That came off absolutely perfectly. It was pretty easy for me to do and enjoy. So when I was recording, they treated me like a demigod, right? It was really a commentary on how old I am. I get it, but the producers and the directors treated me really nice. Everybody was very kind. Well, you were great, mate. That's why, because you were great. So we have 4 or 5 places doing it, and then what are we up to? And then the strike hit. So we wait until it's done. But I think we have a very good shot at the show being set up somewhere. Okay, if it meets this quality, 100%, right? But I like the idea they may do more animated movies and you have the reboot show, and I hope it sparks the need to remaster the show and get the original, give it new special effects. So what can I say about Babylon 5.1? Warner's asked, what would you do with the show over the long haul? And I said, I create this 5 years arc structure, which has now become standard. And there's something new, and that there's now something new. I want to do that again. No one has ever done, so I wonder what this is. I'm not sure if it worked the same way I wasn't sure the original Babylon 5 wasn't work. But if I go ahead with the live action series, I'm going to try and pull this off. I'm referring to it as holographic storytelling. Okay. You'll see what happens when it happens. I wonder what's that mean? You look at everything from every angle. It's three-dimensional. When SFX asks whether the reboot will be playing around with new timelines like the animated movie, hopefully plural, Straczynski is very quick to point out that he views the projects very separately. The Long Road, I think it's called The Road Home, wasn't it? The Long Road is a play on the original, very classic Babylon 5. Once we land on the final timeline, we're not going to do a lot of parallel world stuff. We're going to be in that timeline, a new version or so, essentially, with me saying, okay, if I had the idea of Babylon 5 today, knowing that's interesting. So that really is very much where they left it off, right? And the last line is Ivanova saying, yeah, as I said earlier, I'm sorry for the delay, but now we're back, right? You do feel that they're back. Knowing what I know now, what I experienced of the show, having 20 years of experience, also as a writer, I keep doing this. As a writer, doink, doink, doink. Yeah. Come back. Don't want to know anything about Blue Beetle. Leave me alone. As a writer, how would I do it right now? What let's get really excited about. Well, we'll see where it goes. Okay, here, but let's have a look at who we got. A bit of Susan Ivanova, right? Who is crazily hot. Probably not still, but was very, very sexy. Did you get to the point of thinking you were done with Babylon 5? It's funny because I joke with my friends that it's going to be on my epitaph. Best known for Babylon 5. It pops up on Wikipedia. It pops up everywhere. And I think to myself, well, as long as I'm doing a current Babylon 5 project, then it's okay. The more the merrier. This year is actually the 30th anniversary. The key is quite remarkable. I forgot, by the way, in the pilot, it was she wasn't in it. Again, I've been doing a deep dive in Babylon 5. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Is coming back to Ivana like flicking on a switch. Absolutely. I forgot she was Jewish as well. That was a reason I thought she was hot. Other than she's hot. Absolutely. The only reason, the only difference, of course, is my voice being is 30 years of living added to it. Well, and also, I mean, I'm really glad she's back in it because, boy, she fall out with JMS in a big way, right? In a big, big way. And I thought, quite a sad way. I'm glad they're happy working with each other again. She wanted to be off for 3 or 4 episodes in the 5th season, and JMS will still be paid a normal annual budget, and JMS was like, screw off, and that's why Lockley came in, Elizabeth or whatever. We'll read from him in a second. It's pretty much just elements of a few things. Wait a minute. It was very. So I had to keep that going thing. Had to keep that youthful thing going for the road home. It was very easy to put the character back on because Ivanova is pretty much just the elements of a few different things that maybe I don't have, and some things I do have. Well, Ivanova was hot. Let's just remember that, and never forget her. Her greatest moment was when she had to sleep with a alien ambassador, because that's how they closed deals, and instead she did it she fooled them into thinking that human sex was a song and dance. It was very good, actually. Is there any aspect of Ivonova you wish you would explore more? I really did miss the Talia Ivonova storyline. I don't remember that at all. They thought it was really interesting because it was a mature same-sex relationship. I would love to see that more. Yeah, but Talia and Ivonova on action, yes. Hadn't been done on television. I mean, it had been done, but in science fiction. To not make it pointed and make it unusual. Don't make something you're highlighting. JMS never drew attention to the fact that Ivana was attracted to men and women. That just made him more attractive, baby. That she had a boyfriend in the first season and Talia as I don't remember Talia being a lover at all, but okay, later on. But I think that was beautiful. Well, certainly ahead of its time. And it was something that, again, now I wouldn't want to explore anymore because it's so passé, right? And it's being rammed down your throat everywhere. Speaking of ramming things down your throat, darling. I think it was beautiful. And something I would like to explore is if there's any future where we don't really remark on sexuality, but which is how I wish things would be right now. Okay, so we kind of agree then. Okay, we kind of agree. Let's have a look about, what's the name? Tracy Scroggins as Lockley, who I never really liked the character much. She was really just a fill-in for Ivonova. What was it like seeing your character as an animated character? She looks nothing like her. Like, she looks nothing like her whatsoever. There's a picture of it. Is there on this page? This is the only one where the likeness is, the likeness is just like awful, right? I can tell, I mean, Jakar's a bit wobbly, but like, awful. 5. It was fun. I think the animation is beautiful. It really is great. I think the animators have really nailed it. There's some important aspects of Village. I have Vulcan eyebrows that they got, which was great. Okay. Did you fit easily back into snap back into Lockley mode? Again, I guess it's basically what's on the paper, I guess. I'm glad you asked because I went to the #1 voice actor coach in Houston. I spent a whole afternoon with him while recording Lockley from a 98 loop. We worked together until all the little red lines and all the little red lights lined up perfectly. I have no idea what any of that means. It was a challenging process, but a fun. He's a lovely guy. He does it out of his home. And I even got a good meal. That's typical actor. You're always looking for a good free meal. Well, they talk about that in Big Finish a lot, don't they? Were there any aspects of Lockley you felt were unexplored when you were in the show? I like the one where they had the hollow brothel, and she was one of the main attractions. And you had to wear the skin-tight suit that would react to the holograms. What episode was that? Was that Third Space? Was that Third Space or River of Souls? I think River of Souls. Well, yes, because we were on time exchange to create the character one season. That was a challenge, but it was a challenge for what I was up for. If I had to do it over again, I think there'll be more scenes with the characters of Delenn. I think it'll be interesting chemistry there. We had a couple of scenes, but I think she was the love of Sheridan's life, and me being an ex-wife. I think that there was more to explore. I also realized that it wasn't the Lockley and Delenn show and Dylan show. I think you meant to put Delenn. With the Roadho opening up new timelines, could there be maybe that could still be an option? I do hope so. I would love to do more scenes with Claudia Christensen because I think fans, because unlike fans thinks we don't have a dynasty cat fights around the pond. Well, I'm glad they were certainly mad in the 90s. Okay, we all remember that. 5. So how would I do it today? Let's finish this up. It's also an opportunity to tell a story that reflects the tumultuous present we're living in, which is a far cry from the seemingly stable, optimistic 90s. Very true, actually, very true. A lot of folks have pointed out many things that about the rise of authoritarian governments that we kind of saw in B5. We're seeing it right now. But the thing is, the people who support Biden think they saw it in Trump. The people who support Trump think they saw it in Biden, right? I'm a Trump guy, so I think I see it in Biden. But of course, the difference is I know I'm right. So the last 20 years, parallel with the thing of last 20 years. Well, listen, nobody really saw it again, but the whole Patriot Act was a disaster. I remember people saying it at the time, and I didn't think they were right. No, they were right, and I was wrong. Now, the question becomes about looking at culture and what's coming up in the next 20 years. That's what I want to address. The role of science fiction is to point to the horizon and say, this is where we're going. Are you happy with that? So, yeah, I want to explore the themes, but not as a topical, not as a topical back in the 90s, but how they are on our radar now. And now they're definitely on the radar. Yeah, okay. So this comes out on Tuesday. Oh, such a strong recommend, right? It is such a freaking strong recommend. Genuinely like it. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.